4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh, okay.
I've already told Nina the way these work is they're just little squares. The on button's down here. I'm gonna ask Nina before we get started, trying to save the batteries on these so they don't die on us, to turn them on for us.
Okay.
So then she's gonna assemble them and hand them to everyone who's gonna be speaking.
Okay.
That make sense?
Yes. So we're not all going to start speaking. It'll be me first. And so does that mean that Nina will come up um, when we all sit down? Because that's when we'll all be.
Why don't we go through how the show's gonna work?
Yeah. I'll come up and speak first.
Okay.
I have an opening.
Okay.
I will introduce Jill. Jill will come up here. She'll speak.
But to this point, got it.
Yeah. She'll come up here. Then she'll sit down. I'll come back here. And then I'll introduce James. James will come here too and give his speech. And then after that, I'll invite them both on stage and they will sit around here. I'll move this podium out of the way.
Okay.
So that we can have our conversation. So that would be when all three of us, at that point,
Got
is
it.
when we'd all three be on mics.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna save the battery on this.
After you heard that, but after James speaks, then I will invite them both on stage, and I will move this out of the way, and I'll take some of my.
Will I just take this microphone away?
Well, all three need microphones, so that's why I'm wondering if I can take it off, or if
Just like slide it off.
just slide. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think.
And the two gifts, it's on that desk right there.
Yes. I have Brescian helping. I need to get another board member to help. Maybe Kyle.
Also, in the choir room, would I just open the live stream in there?
Bree can do that. You don't have to do that. You can stay out here, and I'll just let Bree know. If you want to let Bree know, I'll let Bree know. Because the window is up on the screen, but I can go ahead and set it there so that when it starts, it's fine. Okay, let's go get people to sit down so that we can start. Hello, everybody. All right. Welcome to all of you beautiful people in the space tonight and those joining us online. We're here at CultureWorks Greater Philadelphia. And to those of you watching on HowlRound TV, thank you so much for joining us. My name is CC Wright, and I have the honor of serving as Executive Director of Directors Gathering. It is... Thank you. It is my great joy to welcome you to the in-person evening of the 2025 DG Convening. This is the first time we've really been in person since 2020, y'all. But before we begin, I want to acknowledge our presenting partner, the Department of Commerce, City of Philadelphia, and our marketing sponsor, Gateway Set Rentals. Thank you to the DG Board of Advisors and the Transition Advisory Board, our intern Nina Chen somewhere being supportive, our incredible volunteers, Alex and Zach from Temple, our film crew, Philly Cam, Hands Up Productions for ASL interpretation, NCI for live captioning, HowlRound Theater Commons for hosting this live stream, our photographer, Imazli Dukan. Special thanks as well to our fiscal sponsor and venue host, CultureWorks Greater Philadelphia. We also acknowledge that we gather on Lenape-Hoking, the ancestral lands of the Lenape people. This is stolen land, and I want to take this moment to thank Amber Morris and Sunny Allen, Cultural Preservation Director of the Delaware Nation, for their continued guidance as we learn to be better allies in this work. Thank you to everyone here in the room and to everyone joining from afar. I invite you to take a moment to check in with yourself. How are you feeling? I'm excited. I'm a little nervous and honestly a little emotional, but I am deeply hopeful because this convening has been something I've been living with for months now. It's been a source of inspiration and connection, even when things didn't quite go as planned. I've been so moved by the directors and the artists who facilitated and participated in sessions last weekend for the first weekend of our convening. And I want to give a special shout out to Jackie Goldfinger, who helped me think through this 2-weekend format earlier this year. It's unconventional, but that fits us perfectly, I think. DG itself is, I think, wonderfully unconventional. The theme of this year's convening, what sustains us, directing beyond the industry's limits, cultivating a joyful practice, is both a statement and a question. It invites us to look inward and outward, to ask how we sustain ourselves and each other, not just as artists, but as human beings. Tonight is about that very practice, gathering to heal, to learn, grow, and support one another. I also want to share that I stepped into this role as executive director after several years as director of membership and engagement at Directors Gathering. That word, engagement, sits at the heart of everything that I do. My purpose in life, I've always known, but I was able to name recently, has been to ensure that people feel cared for and taken care of. When that happens, it's an incredible feeling, and when it doesn't, it's a chance to learn and do better. This convening is not just a gathering of directors, it's a reintroduction of myself to the DG community and an invitation to envision what our next chapter looks like together. Jill Harrison Snyder. Jill and I met when I was a graduate student at Villanova, where she was teaching, directing. She cast me in Mr. Burns, a post-electric play by Anne Washburn. And after one rehearsal, I felt compelled to send her an email, a small essay, really, about liminal space. And she brought it up in rehearsal. and she asked me if she could. But in that moment, I felt seen. That's who Jill is. Someone who shines light on others in a world and in an industry that needs that kind of light. As former board member C.J. Miller said, Jill is a bright spot that highlights others in comforting ways. Jill, you have always embodied that. Before we begin, I want to note that we have a tribute video for you, Jill. I meant to play it when y'all came in, but then other things happened, so we'll play it during the reception, and for everybody watching online, you'll be able to see it later. We'll post it this weekend. And now to offer her own remarks on this milestone of her leadership at Directors Gathering, please join me in welcoming Jill Harrison.
Okay. I'm gonna see. Yeah. Cool. Well, I got heels on. I'm gonna take this off.
You got the tech guy.
Okay, I'm gonna take it out of the thing. Okay. Cece was smart. She made hers nice and large in font. Okay. Hi, everyone. It's so good to see everyone. Hello, hello. Okay. On Sunday, April 6, 2014, at what used to be the Adrian Theater here in Philly, the founding DG team and I had the honor of welcoming over 50 theater directors to the launch of Directors Gathering. DG, a new organization dedicated to building community and opportunities with and for theater directors. At that first gathering, attendees named the needs of directors as individuals and as a field. There were collective calls for ongoing community, accessible learning and working opportunities, sustainable art making, and elevation of the art and impact of theater directors. The directors in that room were seen, heard, and invited to be part of one of the only initiatives in the world to center theater directors, their needs, and their contribution to the arts at large. Since that first gathering in April 2014, DG has supported, elevated, and connected over 500 directors in Philly, nationally and internationally. So many director-centric opportunities and expanded community have derived from over 10 years of DG. Countless directors have shared with me that DG has connected them to new and now long-standing collaborations, has led them to meaningful gigs and teaching positions, has offered them learning opportunities with established directors on and off Broadway and regional theaters throughout the country, and has provided them an accessible and continuous community. Most of all, DG has been a perpetual ghost light for directors, a welcoming hug that exists for whatever they need and whenever they need it. Along the way, DG has been made possible by the most incredible team, board, and supporters. I will always remember the first team meeting of DG and Tom in my apartment. We talked of Paula Vogel's offers of Circles Rising and determined that the DG team was meant to be in service of others and not ourselves or our own individual work. This was relatively new for most of us since we were working freelance directors, which meant that we were used to working for ourselves. But we quickly learned that DG was not about producing theater and that both the collaborators and audiences were now fellow directors. We also learned that building and implementing an organization for the visionaries that were usually unseen to theater goers and theater supporters meant that we had to clearly advocate for the director and their work in addition to DG as an organization. Hence our mission centering that we gather with and for theater directors. We also learned that we needed a board of advisors. Oof. Two of those founding members were my parents who are here this evening. Hey, I am so deeply grateful for their initial and ongoing investment in DG and for believing in not just me, but an entire ecosystem of theater directors. I would also like to take a quick moment to acknowledge my husband, Tom, and daughter, Stella, who both have given so much to DG. Tom became an instant co-founder, board member, and treasurer of a nonprofit when he could have just been a supportive partner. He too believed not just in me, but the entire mission of DG and its contribution far and wide. Our daughter, Stella, has grown up with DG. We like to say that she's DG's twin and mascot. I was 5 months pregnant on the day we launched the organization, 8 months pregnant on the day we received seed funding from the Wincote Foundation. And then she attended her first DG event at 2 weeks old. She has stamped DG notebooks, decorated for DG events, has taken naps, snacks, meals, diaper changes, potty training. I had to do it, I'm sorry. And has spent 11 years growing up in theaters with the extraordinary DG community and has been such a significant part of our family's lives and the DG of our lives. The learning curves and aha moments continue throughout programs like DG Jam, DG Studio, with such esteemed directors as Ruben Santiago Hudson, Bartlett Schur, Liz Diamond, Tamanya Garza, Eiley Huber, Malika Oiteman, James Ijames, Perone Yusufzada, and my personally cherished DG Fellows, a pilot program in residence at Philadelphia Theater Company and Swarthmore College's Department of Theater, where 6 early career directors gathered regularly and worked, learned, shared, and connected. There were also varied iterations of incredible DG teams and boards. Our founding members, Jack Tambury, Ben Smallin, Amber Emery, now Amber Morris. I'm so glad that I heard Cece say her new name, recently married. And founding board members, Jackie Goldfinger, who welcomed countless DG programs into her house, even recently into this past March. And Michael Kaufman, who was the first person to hear about this new idea I had for directors outside the English department at Temple University. And he said, that's a great idea. Sign me up. How can I help? So there were also, of course, funding ebbs and flows, a global pandemic yielding an overnight international membership community. We literally received emails the day after everything shut down saying, hi, I'm a director. I use you to serve directors. What do we do now? A launch of an official membership platform, and then in 2024, the development of a succession plan for me as founding executive director of DG. If someone would have asked me in April 2014 what DG would look like in 2025, I would have shared my hope for the amplification of directors and their extraordinary and necessary work at the highest level possible. I used to share that the dream was Signature Theater or Playwright Center for theater directors, or a local version being a combination of Fringe Arts and Playpen for theater directors. Over time, that dream of seeing theater directors and their work elevated and supported has remained, though it has morphed into something even more valuable. The dream now includes an inclusive, accessible, sustainable, and ongoing director-centric community. I learned that DG could host the most accomplished and seasoned directors as guest instructors, create the most dynamic and well-attended DG Jam, offer the most engaging DG studio programs, and all of that would not matter if we did not have an honest, safe, and meaningful community for every person involved. This significant lesson was reiterated by my long-standing DG team, colleagues, and friends. Cece Wright and Brienne Barrett. With each and every moment they've shared with DG and the directors we've gathered with and for since their arrival in 2019, DG would truly not be the organization it is today without them. Which leads me to this moment. DG is in a new era, helmed by the extraordinary vision of Cece Wright. Cece will share more about this new era in a bit, but I will share that it has been a great honor witnessing her query, her assessment, her passion, her creativity, and deep care for this organization and its community. It is also a gift to be honored by Cece and DG this evening. DG has been a core element of my life for so long, and this evening allows me celebration and closure. And Marsh and I just spoke recently about beginnings. It's offering me beginnings as well. I will forever hold DG and its community of directors close to my little green #WeGather heart. Thank you.
Hold, please. All right. All right. Oh, you're going to do the thing. Thank you. Thank you. I guess I got to find a Tom. James Ijames. I first met James when I auditioned for an actor's scholarship in Villanova's graduate program. You remember? Yeah, you remember. Okay. I didn't get the acting scholarship I applied for, but I did get an assistantship in the costume shop, and that was exactly where I was meant to be. I remember how warm and welcoming James was during that audition, and I knew immediately that I wanted to learn from him. He's one of the most generous collaborators I've ever worked with. Every rehearsal with him feels like an invitation into creativity, honesty, and joy. Please join me in welcoming Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright, director, and one of the kindest people I believe in this industry, James Ijames.
Thank you, CC. Oh my God, thank you for saying that. I want to begin by thanking you all for inviting me here to talk tonight. I remember when you started Directors Gathering. It was this moment in the city. I know you remember that feeling where everybody was like, we'll just do it. We'll just figure it out. And there was a generation of us that sort of did that, and I'm so amazed at what you've built, how beautiful this community that you fostered has become. So congratulations, that's amazing. And Cece, thank you for inviting me here. I'm so excited to see where you take this organization in the future, and I'm happy that I get to be a little fly on the wall. I write plays and I direct them occasionally. Both efforts require you to be alone with your thinking and imagination a lot. And so on the occasion to share space with fellow directors is one that I treasure. I so hope that some of what I have to say tonight is inspiring, but more than anything, I am grateful to be here. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a preacher. I wanted to be a preacher because when I was young, my worldview of preachers was they make people happy. They brought people together, they led people, they inspired people, and I wanted to do that. I wanted to offer the world access to joy. I'm no preacher, but I do think I have a kind of gospel that I'd like to share with the world, and it's a kind of mission, if you will, reminding people that they have access to more. The two things that I stake my whole career on are practice and joy. For the sake of this conversation this evening, I want to define what I mean when I say practice and joy. First, I want to talk about practice because that's my favorite. I loved practice as a kid, soccer practice, choir practice, play practice. I liked the idea that you had to come together with other people to learn how to get better at something. I define practice for myself now as a focusing of one's time, talent, and energy to the making of art or craft. It's the shape of how you work. It's what your work looks like day to day. I recently directed a production of August Wilson's King Hedley II at the Arden. And when Terry reached out to me about directing it, I was initially intimidated by the play because it's one of the wordiest August Wilson plays. I think next to Gem of the Ocean, is probably the wordiest. The characters are hard to love. Their view of the world is strikingly different from my own. But what ultimately made me want to do the play in the end was the desire to try to fill in the holes of my own knowledge and experiences. What could this play teach me that I don't know? And I call that practice. The choice of difficulty, knowing that the hard thing is the work. It turned out to be the most pleasurable directing experience of my life. I loved coming to work. Days off were painful. And I would walk from my row home, I live in South Philly, and I would walk from there to the Arden every day. And what I discovered over the course of the process is that the time it took me to walk there shortened. Because I was like, I need to get there as quick as I can. And upon reflecting on this, I realized that what gave the room this sort of light feeling was, I instituted a feeling of I'm sorry, I've lost my place. It was an immensely joyful room. Upon reflecting, I realized that what gave the room that light but rigorous feeling was a focus on how to keep the room well. I knew the play itself was a tragedy and the play was hard, and so my attention and my practice was guided by this overwhelming need to protect, honor, and support those brave artists as they embarked on this journey. This showed up in tangible ways like staggered calls and soft breaks, in less tangible ways like free-ranging conversations and themes, and inviting the entire room to ideation in what the production was going to ultimately be. It was a practice of emergent creation that made for an explosive production. The other elements that almost felt like a byproduct of the practice of this space was joy. Joy seemed to sit in the center of the room, and I believe that happened because everyone brought joy in the room with them. Joy to me is an internal reservoir of experience, wisdom, and knowledge that fortifies one's life, one's practice. It's a perspective from which one looks at your passions, your work, and your relationship. It's not a feeling, it's an understanding. There's this gospel hymn that I sing to myself at times when things are hard. It's a song that is sung in my family and in my family's church, and the lyrics go, "This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away." And that feels really true to how I think about this phenomenon we call joy. I see it as a kind of inheritance. The things my ancestors refused to relinquish is joy. The things they held in the quiet of their hearts that lives on quietly in my own heart is joy. I'm reminded of my first directing teacher, the late, great Carol Mitchell Leon's voice. She would say to us, "Lifting is the work of many in rehearsal." She was attentive and visionary and tough, but was overwhelming with joy and care. I encourage you to find your joy in the people that have inspired you. The artists' ancestors, both living and dead, who saved your life with their work. I thank Zora Neale Hurston all the time. I thank Richard Wright. I thank Lord Richards and Joanna Settle and Blanca Ziska, because I realize I'm on a continuum, which means I'm never alone in my pursuit, which has given me a real sense of joy. This understanding of what is true about yourself and your work, it's the thing that helps you through hard times and the good times. To close, I want to talk about something that I think all this practice and joy is really all about: mission. The big reason for your work. What are you as an artist, as a thinker, as a citizen, what are you doing all of this for? And if you cannot answer that question, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what brings you to a boil? What keeps you questioning yourself and the world? What's your mission? What is your purpose? Your mission pours back into your reservoir of joy, which in turn ignites your practice. It's all building towards a more and more authentic voice and vision. Thank you for inviting me.
We're going to do a real quick set shift, and I'm going to invite James and Jill up on stage to join me. And just,
Cece, do you want to tell me straight?
yeah, you.
Do you want me to bring this down and put it there? Okay. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it.
Rachel, ever think about how we're going to set this up? Would it be okay if one of us was behind James and one was behind Jill? Would that work?
I have one.
Yes, they're going to come up and you're going to
Thank you. This is very official. I feel like Donahue.
Thank you for your work. Everybody can hear you.
Good.
Okay. Okay. All right. On today's show, aliens and our no. Thank you so much for your words. I wanted to start with the theme of the convening, what sustains us, directing beyond the industry's limits, cultivating a joyful practice. When I thought of that, I thought of what I am doing in this role now for DG. And so, obviously I immediately think of you about directing beyond the industry's limits, because the limitations don't include spaces where directors come together from any stage in their career. Not really. And I've been doing a lot of research to try to find a model like this, and it's hard. And then I think of you, obviously, the spaces that you cultivate and create. I thought of joy, and so I was thrilled when you said yes, that you would participate in this convening. You said something earlier, and so I have a question, but you said something that resonated in your speech about you have to come together to practice, to get better at the thing. And so I guess I'm sort of adjusting my question now, is like, maybe I'll start with you, Jill, is the necessity of this work that we do at Directors Gathering, particularly right now in this moment. Can you speak to that and maybe, I don't know, speak to me specifically as I lead this organization?
Sure. Thank you for the question, and thank you for the inspiration. We have talked a lot about this, of the sense of, to be a director, you exist in isolation. There's usually one of you in a room. We're starting to see more of just one of us in a room, which is fantastic. May there be more. But when directors don't get to have another person in process with them, we do hold on for dear life to dramaturgs and to playwrights and to choreographers and intimacy directors. And I think it's really important for us to have places that are in process, that are safe, that are, and also that are challenging, that don't necessarily have to put on a show. Because that's something too for us, right? Like, we show up to a room and we're usually the only one, and then we also have to put something on in 6 weeks' time, right? So to be able to release that pressure, and to be able to have more room for joy and more room for communal inspiration. One of my favorite things from grad school was getting to be in a room with other directors. God bless each one of us, for 2 years. By the end of the 2 years, we all still spoke to each other, which is amazing. It is. And also I give a lot of credit to Doug Wager, who was running the directing program at the time at Temple, because he curated one heck of a group of directors that we all had kind of our own thing going on. So we all learned a great deal from each other. Which, but I then realized, similar to looking for models for DG, if you're not in a grad program with other directors, again, where are you getting that kind of experience? And not everybody wants to go to grad school. Not everybody can go to grad school. We look at accessibility there, right? So how could DG provide an opportunity for directors, all walks of life, wherever they were in their journey, to be able to also, something we've talked about is like pop in and pop out. That ghost light that I talked about before, because we're very busy. We have to be busy because we need to put food on our tables. And beyond that, we also want to be human beings outside of a rehearsal process. So to be able to just create those spaces, those rooms, those opportunities, and also to share work with each other and not have to necessarily go to each other's shows, because I know that's a very traditional way of directors getting to connect is, I'll see you after the show. But that's also kind of pressure filled, right? Like, I just did this, I put this into the world, and now we're going to talk about it, right? Which sometimes is very helpful, but also would be nice to be able to just not have that pressure. And maybe it's something that I've made in the 5 minutes with the people in the space with me, and it's similar to what, Cheyenne and Bree got to experience with our fellows pilot program of doing work in space together and seeing how that lands and then talking about it. And so the more that we can continue, I think, doing those opportunities, I know you're really interested in Jam returning, which I think would be so great. Jam was just this really great opportunity, not just for directors. It was the folks who were in the room that were in the pieces. Cheyenne also experienced Jam, right? And having that opportunity to make work fast and furious, and have Peroni Sivzada come and also be able to help inspire with ingredients. But people came, and also actors loved it because they'd show up to town for the first time, and then they were in this Jam, and they met 50 people and made work with them. It was like, and now I have some gigs for 6 months because I made some work with people. And again, it wasn't an audition. You got to have a good time together, and break bread together. So I think the more that we can just find elements of humanity and put that into, and remind ourselves that directors deserve that, as much as, because, hearing about caretaking, right? So as directors, we caretake for others. So who's caretaking for us? And I think that's where DG can come in, is to caretake for the other directors. That was a very long response. Thank you.
Would you like to respond?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think because I sort of play in both playwriting and directing, like I'm aware of that. Playwrights have a lot of space for research development. You can fail flat on your face in a reading and it's not the end of the play. And directors, it can be a lot more high stakes. And so when you have spaces where you can, I think both like, figure things out for yourself, but also, and this is the thing I'm really curious about, is establishing you bring in a playwright that you love, and like you begin to create this community of developing work, like directors developing work with playwrights over time. That's about their partnership. That's about them becoming I find I keep going back to the same directors as a playwright, because you develop a shorthand and a way of working together, but you have to have spaces where you can find each other. I just think it's like a wonderful way for both people to sort of climb at the same time. So yeah, I think there should be as many opportunities for people to I say fail freely.
Yeah.
So there isn't this pressure of oh, if I don't get good notices on this, that's it. It needs to be you can make a thing that's not good, because you have to make things that are not good to get good. And directors are often not afforded the space and the opportunity to try an idea, to see if it works, to see if it sticks. I think that's just a fundamental problem in the American theater in general, is that we just don't have space, time, resources for research and development on the work that we're making.
You're here.
I would love to create a space where directors can fail over and over. I mean, I'll talk about it a little later, but I think that labs are incredibly important. Like the actual idea of a lab, of putting something out there without the pressure, and with people that you can try things out with and see if they could work. James, I'm curious about what does draw you to directing when you do direct. What makes you come back to the rehearsal room in that capacity? Is it a certain playwright? Is it a genre? Is it a house?
Lots of times it's the writer. If someone asks me to direct August Wilson, I will say yes. You heard that here.
As you should. Yeah.
I because you can't, next to Shakespeare, there aren't very many writers that I'm I can't get to the bottom of what he or they have done. I feel similarly about Brandon Jacobs Jenkins. I feel similarly about Jackie Sibley's Jury, Lorraine Hansberry. My left leg to do A Raisin in the Sun. I just, so it's usually, it's the writer, And then usually I have to have a thing that I'm trying to say to the world that has nothing to do with the play that I'm trying to work out to. So like I remember when I was working on Gem of the Ocean at the Arden, it was around the time of the it was the first administration of this president, the first time, and it was the wall business. And I remember talking to Tom Weaver, and we said we wanted a set that didn't have any walls. We wanted a house that was a refuge, because that's what Aunt Esther's house was. Like, I was trying to like understand this this thing that I think is fundamental to America, is that we are a place of refuge, and that the play was an opportunity for me to sort of say that. So I'm usually trying to like, I have a bee in my bonnet about something. Like, I talk about the thing that makes you boil. If I say yes to directing, it's because I'm usually pissed off about something. I'm trying to metabolize it.
Jill?
Ooh, it's been a while. Like, I mean, because it's so interesting. When writing my my remarks for tonight, it made me. I've been saying for so long. People have been like, "What are you directing? What are you working on?" I'm like, "Directors Gathering." Right. So like, I've done a decade's worth of a production called Directors Gathering, and I'm now starting to figure out what those B's are, and figure out what I want to boil over about, but what is it creatively? Because that's the thing too, is like I'm trying to figure out what stories, what medium. I'm like voraciously reading, and my parents, like, I didn't watch television for a very long time because I was in a theater, and then I stopped being in a theater, and then I just started watching television, like copious amount of like just different. Well, also there's so many playwrights now writing such fantastic television, and theater directors directing fabulous television. I still love theater first, but you know, this trying to just like really figure out what space I want to be in. Also, similarly to, you know, what I want to say, it's also who do I want to be with. Yeah. And I think it's like, who do I want to be with in a room collaboratively, and then also who are the people in the house, like in the audience, that I want to be with as well. And that's something that I'm just really curious about. Can I just sidestep for a second, because I'm like speaking of like bees and bonnets, but a good way. So, James, when we're talking about spaces and like DG and models, something that you did, I don't know if you're going to remember this, but when I AD'd for Superior Donuts, you were writing Miss Martha.
It was.
And as an AD at the Arden, I don't know if this is still true, but we would run lines, because we also had an understudy cast that we would put in. And we were running lines, and we had really just met, I think, on that show. And you were like, I have this play. Will you read it? Yeah. And will you share your thoughts? And I just, like, it was just such an extraordinary opportunity to be in this rehearsal room for a play that I was assisting on, but to engage with you directly, and for you to share something that you were working on. So I think like that stuck with me since then, of how do you take creative processes and make them different every time? Yeah. And the people that you're in a room with, you might be working on a specific thing, but how can you stay dynamic and creative with each other in other ways too?
Yeah. I'm bad. I make quick community. I see people and I go, hey, we could, let's sit together. You know, I love that. I think that's the reason why I'm in the theater, is because you're constantly making that. And so if I see somebody that, what I saw in you and what I continue to see in you is curiosity and exuberance and intelligence. And I'm like, that's what you need when you're working on a play. You need someone who's going to offer all of those things to you, especially when it's early. You don't want some sledgehammer on your play. You want someone who's going to tell you the truth, but is ultimately going to be sort of excited about the fact that you did a thing, which people forget when they're giving you feedback about what you've done. Is that like,
they do.
That took time and energy, and, you know, at first say thank you.
Yeah.
And then you can tell me what you didn't like.
Yes. I love that. Well, and it gets so zoned too, right? Like, I'm working on this show, I'm in this track, and that's where I need to stay. Yeah. And so I love that, like, that was, and coming from New York before here, New York was very like, you're a director with a capital D, that is the lane you are in, and that's where you will follow. So to come here to be like hybrid, which is so cool. and it says you're starring in the show as an actor, but you're also a playwright and you direct. Like, it was just such a fun space.
That's why I
to be
stayed in Philly for so long.
That's why you stayed in Philly for so long, yeah.
Because I could, listen, I tell young people coming out of school who want to fly to New York, great, do whatever you want to do. But there are places where you can figure yourself out that are just as exciting. And the work I made in the time that I've been in Philadelphia, I would have never gotten to do any of those things if I had moved right to New York. None of them. I definitely wouldn't be directing. And I probably would have a very different playwriting career. But because I was in a space that sort of gave permission, it's a city that kind of does that. That's why I'm always going to kind of be one foot here.
You're here.
So I garden.
Yes,
and
you
if
do.
And if you know me a little bit, I'll probably share photos with you of the progress of my garden. I'm very proud of it. And I think about, it's a space like I have to be in. And right now I'm doing garden prep for the winter. So it's, watching things dying, seeing if there's some more. I still have okra growing. I looked out and I said, yeah, there's still okra growing in Philadelphia. November,
It's very hardy.
It is, and it's like I let it grow because you're supposed to like top them so that like you can reach it when you go to, harvest. But I was like, oh, see how tall it grows. It's my thinking of Pocahontas. The Disney movie. I'm sorry.
It's amazing.
I garden, so I am out there. I love getting my fingers in the dirt. I feel connected to the land and feel like it's, I'm a steward of this space. And it's really important to me. I have a little yard in West Philly, and I'm so proud of it. And, when people walk by and they're like, I like your garden, I'm like, thank you. But I have so many profound thoughts as I'm gardening, because what you're talking about is what I do when I garden. I have to pay attention to the soil, and when things don't grow in this spot and then I put something else there and it still doesn't grow, I have to do more research to figure out what's wrong with this spot, or maybe I leave it alone and let it be a spot that I don't put anything in. But I've been thinking about cultivating spaces where the two of you could connect and talk about the piece that you were working on. You could see each other. It's similar to the garden. I have to see the things that work well together, that support each other. I have 10-foot tall okra in my yard that is still producing okra, and it's I've got beans growing up the stalks, and it's all beautiful. It's all dying now though, but I think about that often as I'm gardening. And if you've been following on Instagram, DG's account, Directors Gather on Instagram, you've seen me in my garden, and I talk over it to tell you things about Directors Gathering, because I'm not a content creator, but I love being in my garden, so expect more of that. And so if you hear more metaphors, that seeds and soil and the difference between soil and dirt, that's where all that comes from. Thank you for letting me do that side tangent. So
Can I tell you a definition of dirt that I learned?
Oh, go ahead.
It's matter out of place. Ooh. Isn't that fabulous? Which is different from soil, which is like,
Yeah, I mean, dirt is inert, so it lacks life. And sometimes folks use dirt and soil interchangeably, but if you're gardening, you're not, because you need to know what is in the soil, what nutrients there is, what you need to feed it. I started composting last year, which is very exciting to watch garden scraps turn into this rich, dark. And so I think about that in this role that I am now in Directors Gathering, is that I feel like a cultivator, a gardener of this space. So I don't necessarily decide what happens, although, I may put some seeds out there. and put some compost in there and see what happens, but I listen to what nature is telling me to do. And then I respond to that. I kept trying to grow hydrangea. I can't. And so I'm not going to force it. And I accept that even though they're beautiful, and I will appreciate them in other people's gardens and yards, but I see the work I do similarly. I pay attention, I respond, I study, I try, it fails. I think one of the great things, though, about gardening, though, similar to failing, is plants are going to die under your watch as a gardener, and it's not that you've necessarily failed, it's a lesson to learn, to pay attention. What caused this? Why did it brown when it should have been flourishing? My neighbor's is flourishing. Oh, it's because I've got aphids crawling on this. I am, say this last thing about what I'm growing and then we'll move on. I'm growing collard greens. I love collard greens. And I can't think of the insect, but it loves collard greens, like loves them, like they are eaten to the bare bone. I also have, I've grown all the marigolds. I've got all the chives and everything. They deter all the other, not if those insects love those collard greens, they're going to continue to eat them. But it's okay. Like they can have those, and I've figured out other ways to get what I need and to allow whatever's out there to take what it needs as well. So that's just all to say that I learn a lot of lessons from my time in the gardening and in my garden patch. I've asked you both to tell me something that I should be doing, but I would love to ask you specifically, what do you think we should be paying attention to right now as theater makers? I think we, as artists, have such an important role to play as storytellers specifically. I think I sent out a message a while back just to share how important storytelling is in narratives. I've been thinking a lot about like framing and structures for how we tell stories. When I was in school, we had a script analysis class. This is the first time I took script analysis, by the way, and so we were given a framework to work with to study these plays, and I always, I was always trying to fit whatever the structure of the framework was asking and find it in the story. And then once I left school, I appreciated that because I had never thought to question the framework itself because I was trying to understand it first. And I think you have to understand things first before you can really start critiquing. But I so appreciate that because it wasn't until after I graduated that I really started thinking about frameworks. And I think about the stories that are told. I think about like this idea of a central conflict. I remember like looking for it in everything. And then I was like, why am I looking for a conflict in every story? I get it. That's helpful for that framework. And that framework serves a certain purpose. But but now I'm like, oh, I don't need to look for that in every story. And it's not helpful, I don't think, if I want to focus on recognizing the humanity of my neighbors and my community. So I guess that's just a long way to say, is what do you think we should be paying attention to right now as artists, as theater makers? What do you think maybe we should like give up? No, nothing to give up? Well, what do you think?
Wait, what should we give up? Is that
Yeah,
what you
if there's
said?
something to give up, what would it be? Is it a way that we operate that doesn't serve us, or is it?
It's probably something to do with money. If I had to think of something for us to give up.
Like,
It's a very expensive art form. And I wonder if it should be as expensive as it is. So that's a thing I think about a lot. I think we should be paying attention to is form. And I say that because we are in a society where people can absolutely tailor what it is that they're watching every moment on every screen of their life. And theater is still a thing that is quite real when you see it. Like, it's in front of you, it's real people. I always, when I'm in writing class and we're doing exercises and something is like an hour or 30 minutes, I use an hourglass because I want them to think about time as physical, as actual. And so I think how we deploy time, which is what I think about when I say is form, we have to start thinking more expansively about how that looks so that what we make isn't just Netflix on stage. Which, by the way, if you've seen Stranger Things, which is awesome, but is a Netflix episode on stage. So that's a real thing. Like, that's some handwriting on the wall. The number of movies and TV shows that are on stage now, that's not gonna get less. And so we have to, the form has to do something else. The form has to progress. We used to have theorists, right? We used to have Peter Brook. We used to have people who are not just thinking about jobs, but we're thinking about what does the form do? What can the form do? What can a play do? What can a night of theater do? I think that is the project. We know we can write stories about families that are arguing and have secrets. I got one that's about to happen down the street. Please come see it. It's a very good family with secrets play. But formally, it is quite typical. And, you know, I say to my writers all the time, the industry will bend you to formality. So in your youth, you want to be expansive, you want to be irreverent, you want to break things and move fast. It's just when you get old and you keep doing that is the problem. You have to stop doing that when you get old.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe not. I feel like I have to stop breaking things. I'm talking about myself, maybe.
Okay.
I feel like I need to stop breaking things. So I'm writing things that are... Anyway, this is therapy. I can talk to my therapist about this later. I do think form and how the invitation to the audience, like how do you say to as many people as possible, come. And I don't think that means you make simple, stupid things. Yeah, I think it is you make things that feel. I saw Beyonce do Cowboy Carter, y'all. That was theater.
Yeah.
Like, it was
Yeah.
expensive,
Yeah.
but it was a if you weren't there, like, you can watch a movie of it, but like she's messing with the form of a concert. And so I think that's the thing we need to be thinking about. It's just time for us to be sort of thinking about that again. And I don't think we've been thinking about it very deeply for the last several years.
If other mediums are thinking about it and are coming over to theater, something is hot in what we're doing, right? So like
Disney has made more money on Broadway than anything it's made in the last several years. They're coming.
yes, I mean Ben Stiller did a pop-up in
Yeah.
Grand Central Station with, you know, what is the name of that show, that television show, that Severance, right?
Yeah.
So there's like a glass box that people are hanging out in. It's Severance on stage in Grand Central Station.
And it's been thought up by an executive, not one of y'all.
Right. I mean, and just it's like, and Ben Stiller with this little camera, like hanging out, right? And you're like, but I think what's missing, in addition to what you're offering in the sense of form, is it's a communal act, right? Theater is meant to be you are meant to be with other people in the space.
Yeah.
It's why it's church. Right? It's why people, I mean, we have all kinds of, my parents and I have all kinds of conversations about church. But like the sense of like, why are people showing up to be in space together? And theater does that,
Yes.
right? You are in communion together, witnessing the same piece, and watching other people do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's really important. And also, I mean, a global pandemic will really mess with that.
We really haven't how much it's changed our.
No, there's been no grieving. There's been
Yeah.
no grieving. There's been no reflection.
Yeah.
We just kind of became television and film directors and makers, right? And it was like overnight. And then you're like, okay, but what is that? And how do we wrap our brain around, our hearts and our souls around that? Does it inform what we do now?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of was like, oh, we did that for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And now we're going back to theater, which was what we were doing in 2019.
Yeah.
And we kind of like pretend that didn't happen for a
Yeah.
couple of years.
And it's twice as expensive as it was in 2019.
Yes.
So I ran a theater, and you were there too, during the pandemic. The cost of wood, it just was sort of astronomical. And so the industry didn't change how it was doing anything, but the price of the wood changed. The price of the nails changed, and we didn't change anything about what we were doing. So it's,
Well, this also the safety. There was a
yeah,
new cost.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cheery conversation, right? But I think we should keep making plays and directing
Yes.
plays and writing
Yes,
plays.
and it can be long. Like, so something, right, so you were talking about the economics of it, right? Is it, I think of like Rachel Trafkin and Team, right?
Yeah.
Like they take years.
Years.
And also they do other things. Like, and I think that's something too that I know at DG we've talked a lot about of like, especially the founding of DG, there was a bunch of freelance directors being like, okay, I can't tell anyone I have a day job. I can't tell anyone that I don't direct, and that's not my full gig. And that was a real fear for a while. And it's absolutely nonsense and unsustainable, right? So it's like, how do you do multiple things and direct? And also, Bree, Cece, and I have talked a lot about it feeds each other.
Yes.
When you're doing when you're, or when you're a parent, that feeds the work you do. If you're a partner, that feeds the work you do. If
live
you're an
your life.
educator, and so on. And so I think thinking about time and how that can be lengthened because it's expensive, and thinking about spaces, like where does the work get done? Does it have to be, in a traditional theater space? Like I don't know, or a yes and. It can be at PTC in the Wilma, and it also can be in someone's living room.
It could be here. CultureWorks.
It sure did. Exactly. That's a good transition.
Yeah, as we wrap to a close, I want to give you each an opportunity to share a final word with the group. So who wants to go first?
You close. I'll go first.
Okay, good. I can play the nose. game.
Keep directing. Have so much fun. Be good to people. Leave the room better than you found it. Find community everywhere you go. When I said I make quick community, I'm serious about that. I find moms, I find aunts. If I move to a new city, if I move to a new job, it changes how you are able to get through the day, that you have people that you're constantly in community with. And I think it's just so important. Yeah. Do it your way. This is the moment to really, the rules are out of the window.
Yeah.
It's a bloodbath. Just get out there and make something that is exciting and has some life in it. Try to make something nobody's ever seen before. You can't, but try.
There.
Thank you.
Like that. Life lessons with James Ijames. Stella, I think Stella has left the building. No, hopefully not left the building, but she's somewhere else. That's fine. She's 11. But Stella and I were talking about this the other day, and we talked about the sense of when things end, how that can suck, and that I didn't say suck. That could be terrible if things end. But then they talk about endings and transition into something new, and that also there's an liminal space in the in-between space of reflection. And we were talking about grieving before, and this sense of to reflect, to breathe, to have a moment of lift in between whatever magical, mystical thing you're creating. And I think that directors do not get that enough, because we're always looking for the next gig. And I think that the more that we can allow ourselves to take that beat and to live, and back to your keynote of the mission, like what is your, like we're so geared towards the mission of why this play now and the mission of the play and the company. It's like, what is your mission? And giving yourself that opportunity. And also that mission might change. And if you're giving yourself moment for lift and breath, you might figure out that that mission doesn't work for you anymore and you move on to a new one. So that's what I got.
Well, thank you both so much for being here, for answering. I called the party this time.
You
right?
did call the party.
Jill usually says, I called the party, and so I called the party this time. I thank you so much. I want to take a moment to give you each a token of our gratitude at Directors Gathering. I got something little I want to share with you. So 2 of our board members, Brishan and Kyle, are going to come up, and we are going to use this moment as a photo opportunity. So if you want to...
Oh, they're so pretty.
Yes. Oh, and I wrote words, didn't I? Thank you both for your wisdom and leadership. On behalf of DG, I'd like to present you with a small token of our appreciation, a reminder of the seeds, you've planted in this community and the way your artistry nourishes us all. So thank you.
Thank you.
You can hang it on the wall.
Oh, I love
It's
it.
gonna be wrapped in the bag.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna hang it on the wall.
I like that idea. Okay, hold on, ready? Thank you. Okay. Very good.
A little maybe. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. So this next portion, I'm good on time. This portion of the evening is something new, and I hope it becomes an annual tradition for me. This is an opportunity to share openly what DG is doing and where we're headed. So this year marks a major transition. Since stepping into this role, I've been meeting with directors, funders, donors, artists, administrators, public, government officials, listening, learning, and gaining valuable insight to help shape our future together. I've been inspired to action by some realities in the theater industry, illuminated by the 2020 report On the Edge, the lives and livelihoods of stage directors and choreographers from Stage Directors and Choreographers Society, that's the Union for Stage Directors, and Stage Directors and Choreographers Foundation, SDC and SDCF. It revealed that even mid-career directors, so those with 15 to 30 years in the field, face severe financial insecurity. We talked about that just now. Over 70% make less than $70,000 per year from all sources, with only 17,000, that's 17,000 on average from directing contracts, while healthcare and debt often exceed that amount. Women and artists of color are disproportionately affected. Women reported decreases in income at higher rates than men, and artists of color earned less despite filing contracts at higher rates. So they had more contracts, but were making less money. This data underscores what we've witnessed at DG, that directors need not only artistic space, but also economic and community support. DG exists to change that, to create consistent spaces where directors can learn, connect, and thrive. Now, we're building the next chapter together. And I have 3 pillars for the immediate future. So the first one is membership and resources. So we're revamping DG's membership model to sustain our mission while keeping access to our digital resource hub free for all directors. Our digital resource hub is going to remain free and open, providing curated tools and recordings that are valuable to learning and the profession of directing. What we are creating is a new donor membership that recognizes those who fund this access. Many folks in this room already do that. And what I'm calling a visionary circle, where we'll invite donors to volunteer in leading and helping to shape the next era of growth and support. The second pillar, so the first one was membership and resources. The second one is education and workforce development. We're formalizing our long-running educational, community, and professional development programs. Things like the seminars, pickup classes, our summer salon series, this new thing that James Ijames inspired, which is this open rehearsal observations. That's what I ended up calling it. Where directors can observe rehearsals in a professional theater and meet with that production's lead director. And re-envisioning, what Jill mentioned earlier, the DG Jam, which is a lab space for directors and other theater artists. All of this into a unified DG educational institution. We're still working on the name. This initiative will offer individual, a la carte learning for directors at all stages, bridging artistic practice with professional sustainability. Key in this educational institution is helping directors not only provide access to professional theater-making spaces that may currently feel distant, but to prepare directors to engage with producers, the local communities they're making art in, and other professionals they're making art with. And the third pillar is a documentary. So we're producing a short film, Founders Town, this is a working title, Founders Town, Theater Directors, Democracy, and the Legacy of Philadelphia Performance. Yeah, I'm excited to say that we're bringing on M. Osley Dukan, who is our photographer for this evening, as an advisor to support this effort. Yes. Yes, Osley is an acclaimed filmmaker and educator, and we're so happy to have Osley on board. This film is going to highlight theater directors as civic and cultural founders in Philadelphia. This project is both artistic and advocacy-driven, revealing the immeasurable value of directors to our communities. I'm also happy to announce that we are working with Frank Creative Solutions, and so there's JJ, led by JJ Elfar, to help us strategize on creating a sustainable operations model and resource gathering strategy as we move forward. So thank you. So together, these 3 pillars build a foundation for consistent, lifelong support for directors, a network that nourishes the entire theater ecosystem. The result is that we will have a community of theater directors that can come in at any stage in their career or artistic practice to learn and gain access to spaces and people who can help and support them on their artistic and professional journeys to support a healthier ecosystem of theater making. This doesn't exist anywhere else as an institutional model in the US for directors, as far as I know. Directors deserve spaces to learn, practice, and connect without major financial or institutional barriers. And I believe that when we invest in directors, we strengthen the art form itself. So let's work together to build this. Thank you to everyone joining us here and online for being part of this journey. Please visit directorsgathering.org to learn more about how you can connect and engage with us. I've shared a lot of things in just this moment about where we're heading next. So please join our email list so that you can be of the first informed when these changes take place and when you can begin supporting them. For the folks in space, I'll leave you with some materials tonight so that you can have a deeper preview into what's happening next. Thank you so much. Let's stay connected. Take care. And for those of you at home, we'll see you soon, or wherever you're watching from. I don't want to assume you're at home. We'll see you soon.